So the title slide, Becoming a First Choice District in a Top 25 Community, really combines two topics that I think are completely linked. One is the idea of being a first choice district, which I want to spend some time, and I also want to spend some time talking about how becoming a first choice district for families can lead to the Transform Rockford goal of being a top 25 community. Andy Stanley talks about vision being what we could and should do tomorrow. So let's talk a little bit today about what we could and should do together. And being the first choice for families does not mean we're going to be the only choice for families. I think it's important that we have strong and thriving private schools in our community, that we have charter schools, that we have other options for families. But I believe, and I'm going to try to make the case today, how incredibly important and that there's a special importance that comes for our public school system being so highly regarded that it's seen as a first choice district. And I'm deeply committed to the notion that if we accomplish that together, that we can collectively have a huge impact on how our community is perceived. So today's remarks are going to be broken into three areas. We're going to start with why, because ultimately that's the key. If we agree that it's important to become the first choice for families, that becomes the linchpin of our work. I also am going to spend some time talking about our work with our 2020 strategic plan. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing. And then finally, how do we all fit in? There's a room full of people here that can all play a role, and many of you already have played a huge role in some of our early successes and where we want to go in terms of sustaining that success and achieving that vision of becoming a first choice district. So the first reason being a first choice district is so important is when you live in a community where the public schools are highly regarded, property's worth more. Okay? And that sounds really simplistic, but it matters. Good schools create stability, and good schools become a demand in the marketplace. A recent survey from Realtor.com surveyed over 1,000 people. 91% said they pick where they live based on the quality of the public schools. It has a huge impact. And what that survey also pointed out is that people will pay a 10 to 20% premium to live in a community that has strong schools. So we have to be deeply committed in a first choice community to the idea of creating a school district where families want to move into the boundaries. And when we see that happen, that has a powerful impact. Now, that isn't our current reality. We've struggled with the decline in the housing market over the last 8 years, and we saw nearly $2.8 billion in value decrease 29% to under $2 billion. So this has been a real challenge for our community, and I think we've rolled up our sleeves to start to slow the decline and eventually get some growth. I was really happy to hear from Connor Brown. He forwarded this, and many of you may have seen this, that we're at a 15.1% increase in property value quarter to quarter. So we are finally starting to turn the corner in this very, very important area in terms of having valuable property in our community. And I'm proud to report that, tentatively speaking, it looks like we are going to have a 3.2% increase and be back over $2 billion in value to start the year. So that's exciting news for all of us, I think. Now, property values are linked to everybody's favorite topic, particularly in September as you pay your second property tax installment. We have to talk a little bit about taxes. And we know as a region, because we've had some challenges with property values, we've had some real challenges with tax rates increasing, and there have been tax protests, and this is something that we really struggle with. And as a first choice community, we want to make sure the value proposition for taxes matches that. You can see where we rank as a community and as a school district in comparison to other communities in our region. We rank 5th out of 8 with tax rate. And if you use another frame of reference, if you look at what the Rockford Public Schools are as the percentage of the total tax bill, we are actually the lowest percentage of the total tax bill in the region, with 52% of your local tax bill going to your overall tax bill from the Rockford Public Schools. So that is an area we've done a pretty good job with, but collectively we know this is an area that we really have to attack and really makes the case for the need to do that. One of the things our board has done to really try to stave off some of those concerns, and I think our board has taken great leadership in the area on this topic, and I know some other taxing bodies have done a good job of this as well, is at one point we were collecting $170 million in our local levy. And that was going into education as recently as 2011. The board, as part of a commitment to the 56-cent return to taxpayers as part of the original Kids Win campaign, gave about $13 million back to the taxpayers as promised after 5 years, and then has sustained that level of levy either at 157 or below for a total commitment of $55 billion less being collected over the last 4 levy cycles. I think our board needs to be applauded for that stance. That's impressive. And another area we've gotten some great leadership from our board has been on the idea of incentivizing people to want to live in our district, which can ultimately impact tax rates in a positive way. Saw this billboard driving to work one day, and I was pretty excited to see it. It showed that somebody is trying to take advantage of a program that the city, the Realtors Association supported us, but the city, the Park District, and the district have gone together. And if anyone buys a new house, or builds a new house, or buys a distressed property, there is a 3-year, 80% tax rebate available. And we are monitoring this closely, and we're hoping that billboards like this are going to be springing up all over town, because that is one way to really help stimulate growth in our community. Imagine 3 years of your property taxes being rebated, how that could go to fixing up a house, or it could go towards building a new one. So we're excited about our realtors, banks, and other lending institutions really making this prominent as we try to grow it. And we didn't stop there. We've also made a $375,000 investment in our own employees. I think it's really important that we incentivize people who work in our community and are paid by the tax dollars of our community. We love the idea of those folks living in our community. And so we put together an incentive program to continue to strengthen the bond between employees and taxpayers, and we've gotten some great response. We started with a $250,000 investment in teachers, added in a $125,000 investment in other certified staff, and so far the response has been really encouraging. People are coming back to our community, buying homes, raising their families, and investing in a big way. So it's exciting to see some efforts that I think are going to lead to us attacking that tax rate issue and that property value issue. And finally, the third reason why I think it's important that we become a first choice district, right here in this room, the business community's perception. You all have to attract and recruit talent to succeed at what you do. And I want to make sure that we are an attractive district. I want to be a district that helps you attract and retain talent. And we know that is often a challenge right now, whether it's the taxes, whether it's the perception of the district. We know that this is something that we need to work on together. And some of the things that we can point to that I think are new talking points in the last few years, we're starting to strengthen that narrative a little bit. We are one of 3 communities in the nation that has been named by Ford Motor Company to be a next generation learning community, and that's something we're deeply proud of. In a couple months, Bridget and the Alignment Rockford team are going to host a conference, and over 100 people are going to come from all around the Midwest, because they can't all go to Nashville. They're going to be coming by the busload to learn about how we're doing high school redesign, what our teachers are doing, what our students are doing, and how our business community is injecting their passion into improving outcomes for students. I've said this before, I am always thrilled when I see a busload of people driving around our community to learn about public education right here in Rockford, Illinois. It's an exciting time to be a teacher, student, and a community member in our public schools. Now, we know we still have a long way to go. When you look at where we were in 2011, though, we've come a long way. We were at 3% on the RATE Act survey in 2011, and I was fortunate to be part of a team that joined up at that point. And you think 3% approval rating is low, but as I've said in the past, it was actually lower than that because we were a member of the Economic Development Council, and I'm pretty sure we voted for ourselves. So we may have actually been starting at 0. But that growth, and I'm an educator, I have to believe in the power of growth, has gone from 3% to 33%. And as Jeff mentioned in his opening remarks, the Chamber gave us some even more encouraging results. We got about a 72.4% right track rating from the Chamber. That was exciting to see that People understand we aren't there yet, but the journey is being recognized. And I think one of the reasons that is so many people in our community are pitching in to help make that happen.
Alignment Rockford is a different way to do collaboration. And that's because we are truly building a system of change.
The Rockford Public Schools have had issues in the past. We've had challenging community versus district environments, and it created barriers. We came in with a kind of a different attitude, with the alignment attitude that says, what's your biggest problem and what could we do to help you solve that problem?
What we've done is we've set a table so everybody, instead of pointing fingers, has to lock arms and take responsibility for our students and to make sure that they're successful.
Alignment Rockford does an amazing job of taking the district's strategic plan and all the ambitious things we want for students and helping to activate the community to support us in that work.
They're our GPS, so they help us travel down roads that we didn't know existed and help us take new paths to get to where we want to go.
Our very high school redesign is in part attributable to their participation with us.
They're really our connection to the community, and the community has been such an important part of our academy model. We're starting to see students connected through internships. We're starting to see it with job shadowing programs that we're trying to develop. They can see what it actually looks like working at some of these places.
I've been able to see two really exciting projects come to fruition, from the Academy Expo and the piloting at Jefferson High School to what it is today. And now with the Capstone project, knowing the impact it's going to have on not only the high school seniors, but all of the community members that are involved.
What's really exciting for me is getting those that haven't been in the schools in a while, getting them in here and getting them involved and really seeing their reaction right off the bat about, wow, I had no idea our students were doing this.
I think in the 40 years that we've been in town, I've never seen a community effort that focused and that intentional about coming together around a common platform and making it better. It's been really impressive, and I really enjoy being a part of it.
Areas and other school districts like Peoria have come and asked, how did you do it? You know, we want to do the same thing. So we've come a very long way from being a struggling district to being a model for other areas.
The business community has stepped up and gotten very active in working with the district. There is a great team at the district of dedicated administrators, teachers, principals, and staff, and they have the full support of our business community.
It's important for the entire community to understand that the success of our students and of our school district is a team effort, and we're really all in this together.
So I hope I've made the case for why we should care that we're a first choice district and the first choice of families, and that this isn't some naked power grab where we're trying to put everybody else out of business, but rather we're trying to make the business case for how investing in public education makes us all stronger as a community. But I now want to spend a little time talking about, so what are you doing about it? How are we getting any better? And in our 5-year strategic plan, our 2020 plan has 5 goals and 9 strategies. And I'm just going to highlight a few of the things I think are really encouraging in terms of early returns and results for improving our district. One thing that I have to say thank you to each and every person in this room for is the fact that we passed not 1 but 2 different building referenda that now are allowing us to make a $250 million investment. $40 million this year alone is going into our schools. And I'm going to show a quick little video clip that highlights some of the recent work that's going on, including our conversations about designing 2 brand new elementaries. it's exciting to see what $250 million looks like. And we're so pleased that the community has supported this work. We're going to be going from a total of 47 schools down to 40 with about the same enrollment. And we're really making a huge, huge investment. And one of the projects I want to highlight that hasn't even broken ground yet, but has been a really important community collaboration. In addition to building a new elementary that serves the Cherry Valley area, we are also building a new elementary that serves the old Kishwaukee school neighborhood along with Nelson and a little bit of Bayer. And what an exciting partnership this has been. The county, the city each contributed $600,000, have pledged that to add property, and we've had some local folks that have donated $200,000 for a total of $1.4 million in addition to what the district has budgeted. We are going to be able to create right in the heart of our community a 14-acre campus that's going to be absolutely a wonderful community anchor right in the heart of our downtown. So I can't wait to break ground on this project and for you to see what's happening. We're so appreciative for Jim Keeling and Paul Logley for their efforts to fundraise for this and for the county and the city's support. What was about a 9-acre campus now has the chance to be about a 14-acre elementary school. It is going to be a great learning environment. We are really trying to attack one of our big challenges, which is being below the state average in both ACT scores and graduation rate. Ultimately, that's what people see when they move into our community and they Google us. And it's hard to get past that. So we have some really encouraging news. We also have some challenging news. Our 5-year graduation rate stagnated a little bit this year, and part of the reason for that is we increased graduation standards from 40 to 48 credits and added a science requirement. So we were pretty happy to see that we kept things pretty close, and we're looking to improve that moving forward. But the overall trajectory is still one of growth. And I want to highlight a couple real success stories with 2 groups of students. African American and Hispanic graduation rates are nowhere near where they needed to be, but we're excited to point out that over the last 4 years, we have had 15 points of growth with both of those subgroups of students in graduation rate. It's exciting to see that so many more students are graduating, and we're investing resources in groups that certainly need to see that improvement. In fact, our Hispanic group is now performing at a 75% graduation rate. They're rapidly approaching the state average, and we want to hit that mark and go beyond it for every student. ACT scores are a real exciting trend for us. We have increased, with about a 2,000 student cohort per grade level, we've increased scores by a point almost. We were at 17.8, we've raised them to 18.6. And you can see the trend is continuing to head upward. And this is really, really important because ACT is really a strong measurement of readiness. We'll be shifting to the SAT this year, and we'll be able to translate those two so we can kind of keep track of how we're doing. But the state average is at about a 20.7, so we're not at the state average yet, but you can see we are gaining on that every year. We had a wonderful ACT prep program that was sponsored by the First Midwest Group. We have 500 to 600 students on January mornings that are eating Famous Dave's barbecue and prepping for the test. But there's a couple other things I can point to that I think have contributed to this as well. One of the things we're doing better than anybody in the region now, and I can point to the data to show this, is we have emphasized access to advanced placement courses, and we're starting to receive some state and national recognition for that effort. The Washington Post has a writer named Jay Matthews, and he every year looks at every public school in the country and created a very simple formula to rank high schools, because his belief is high schools are at their best when more students have access to the most challenging courses. And the most challenging courses are advanced placement courses. And in our schools, we've made some huge strides in that area. There are about 800 high schools in Illinois. Auburn High School ranks 11th in the entire state of Illinois on the Matthews Challenge Index. Now, you might have to squint a little bit to see where they are there, but we're talking about Jones Prep in Chicago, Evanston Township, Glenbard West, Barrington. This is a pretty good list to be on, and I am convinced this is part of the reason our ACT scores are increasing as well. Can also point to Guilford High School Guilford ranks 53rd out of 800 high schools on the same list. So we have 2 high schools that are now in the top 60 schools in the state in this metric. And East and Auburn are rapidly approaching that because we have made a commitment to make sure all students receive the support they need to take the most rigorous courses possible. Now, how does that matter in ACT scores? Let me make that connection here. If you take our 282 students, so we're up to a pretty good percentage in last year's graduating class that took 1 advanced placement course per year. So they at least took 1 per year, sophomore, junior, senior year, 3 total. Their average ACT is a 25. Okay, the max you can get on the ACT is a 36. So there are 282 of those students. In the past, we had many, many less that were in that situation. We also have the strength of the sustained excellence of our special programs, and specifically our gifted program. The gifted program at Auburn has an average ACT of a 28.1. Now let me put that 25 and that 28.1 in a little perspective. These are the top 12 public high school ACT scores in the state of Illinois. New Trier is number 1 with a 27.4. Our gifted students outperform New Trier by nearly a point. And when you look at our students who take 1 or more advanced placement course, they are right behind Neuqua Valley and Naperville North and would rank 13th. Now, we know that's not where our total average is. I fully acknowledge we're still at an 18.6. The state average is still a 20.7. But what this tells me is don't let anyone tell you our kids can't do it and that it can't happen right here in the Rockford Public Schools. Because we've got 282 students right now that are competing with Naperville and 82 students that are competing with New Trier. We are going to get there when it comes to test scores, and we're going to need your support to continue moving in that direction. Now, I am a big believer in the importance of student athletics and fine arts. And one of the things I'm really proud of with the board's investment in an extra academic period and with our investment in a strong athletic program, we've seen a 42% increase in athletic participation over the last 5 years and a 25% increase in fine arts enrollment. And it's one thing to talk about the statistics, but I'm going to take a minute here and show you a video about a student named Demetrius Markham who's going to be on his way to University of Michigan. Demetrius was not only our athlete of the year in the district, he was also our fine arts student of the year in the district. This is the kind of students we have in the Rockford Public Schools.
My name's Demetrius Markham. I'm from Jefferson High School and I plan to attend University of Michigan. I'll be studying visual arts and I hope to pick up mechanical engineering after my first semester, if not after the first year for sure. Being a part of the district and like a part of the athletics here is really helped me develop a lot as a student. My coaches letting us know what we're capable of as people and like where we can take our lives, and the fact that we are the ones taking it there also had a really large impact on it. It's made me more driven and more coachable in life. My interest with art kind of began when I was really young, and being in this school has been one of the best experiences. Like I always say, it's nice to have the awards, but I didn't get there without the help and guidance that was provided here. So I received 1 national silver medal from Scholastic Art and Writing, and statewide I've participated in the state art show the last 3 years. I've always wanted to be an engineer, and so I've always been good at math and really interested in math. And one of the things I really admired about at least the math teachers I had is I thought a lot of them had really good understanding of how to teach different people. And I really respect the fact that a lot of the teachers were able to adjust to that and show me what was the best way for me to learn.
I mean, that doesn't even sound real. He's the athlete of the year. He's a great artist, and he wants to be an engineer. I mean, this is like the dream Rockford student right there, right? I mean, he's got it all going for him. What an awesome young man. Another group I really want to highlight that has been so important on our journey in terms of becoming a first choice district are our REA partners specifically, but all of our employees have made such a big difference in our journey the last 5 years. We've seen some real improvements in culture and in employee engagement. We recently surveyed our teachers, and we're up to an 83% right track rating with our teachers. I don't know exactly where it was before. We didn't measure it, but I can assure you it wasn't an 83. And so we're really proud that that partnership and that collaboration is starting to grow. And there's something that they've worked really hard on. There are two things I want to really give them some recognition for today, because these are projects that teachers didn't have to take part in because they're a little risky. And one is our REA partners worked with Matt Vosberg and some key members of our team to create what's called a peer assistance and review program. And there's a lot of people, if you talk to them about public educators and teachers in particular, that will say, well, teacher unions just exist to protect jobs. Well, our teachers union does protect due process rights, and they do care about their teachers, but they also care about students. And they protect about making sure that teachers who are struggling get support, and teachers who are not appropriate for the profession get support to find a different profession. And the Peer Assistance and Review program is a great, great program. What we did is we hired two of our best teachers. They're amazing teachers. Pulled them out of the classroom, which is a risk, because you hate to take those kinds of teachers away from teachers or from teaching. And their full-time job is to work with struggling students. And those teachers worked with 19 of our teachers who were having a real tough go of it last year. And 7 of those teachers got so good that we wanted to keep them. And 12 of them either voluntarily or involuntarily left the profession. But the key is the REA and our teachers are more passionate about teaching quality than any other teaching union in the state of Illinois, because we are the second one to do this, and I think we're the best at it already. So that kind of innovation deserves your recognition. We have a team of teachers here that are part of that leadership. I'd love for them to stand and be recognized, and specifically Dawn and Paul, our president and vice president. Keep up the great work. A big part of our relationship is also every couple years we have got to get together and bargain a contract. And I found this really interesting. We went from having some really tough relationships as recently as 4 or 5 years ago to fairly recently, as we bargained our last contract, drew a little recognition from Harvard. And Harvard is writing a book. I'm sure this is going to be a bestseller. The book is called Labor Management Community Collaboration Resource Guide. I think it's going to be in Oprah's book club. So while it may not be a page turner, I'm really proud that we have a chapter in a book that's going to receive some national recognition. And it's because, not because we're telling everyone we have it all figured out. It's really hard to bargain a contract when you don't have the resources you'd like. But what it does show is our story is one of a commitment to work together collaboratively to take the resources we have and stretch them a lot further. And we could not do that without the great labor partners that we have. And I'm so proud that we're receiving some national recognition for that work. So keep up the great work, guys. I appreciate it. All right, now to the home stretch. How do you fit into all this? And many of you already have a great place at our table here. And I think the key way everyone in this room can contribute to our work is we have a concept that we really are passionate about. We talk about wanting every child in our district to be college and career ready. Not or, and career ready. That means some of our students are going to go right on to a career, some will go to some kind of a training program to a career, but everybody is going to be ready for the next phase after they leave us. And we know that you are the key to our success in doing that. In the last 3 years, we have doubled the number of volunteers. We have added $500,000 in equivalent volunteer donation hours and 15,000 additional volunteer hours. So our parent community engagement team and Alignment Rockford are doing an amazing job making sure people like you are supporting our students in their journey. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now again, I think it's better to let someone else tell the story, but this is a student named Brad Foster, and his sister Kate has received a lot of national recognition for some struggles, and my daughter Lily is a gymnast and looks up to Kate. But I think this story is an incredible story of how you take some of our best and brightest students and you plug them into some great community resources, and I think Brad really exemplifies on his way to Duke what college and career readiness really looks like in our district.
Last summer I did an internship at the University of Illinois College of Medicine in Rockford, and While there, I worked in a cancer research lab with Dr. Nilu Puri, and I researched lung cancer. I came across this protein called P120-catenin, and it's something that has been researched in breast cancer a little bit, but no one really knows the role that it's playing in lung cancer. We have a class here at Auburn, and it's called Senior Capstone, and it's basically a research project of anything. And my capstone project was an excellent opportunity for me to bring that protein back and look into the role that it has in lung cancer. So Kate is my sister. Around 5 years ago, she was diagnosed with AML, which is acute myeloid leukemia. And 2 days, I believe, before her bone marrow transplant, she had another infection in her knee. And so what they actually did is amputate her leg. That's a big deal for her. She's a competitive gymnast. You need a leg to do those things. She has a prosthetic now. So after being treated at St. Jude, she has been in remission now for around 3 years. She's done an incredible job of, you know, turning into a normal kid again. I think she knows that she's had a dramatic influence on my life. She's a direct product of, you know, researching cancer treatments. And that was amazing to me, that my sister's life was saved by a doctor who's, you know, not only looking at curing her, but finding better new ways to treat people so that they are healthier, safer during the treatments. So I applied to a bunch of schools, and I ultimately decided to go to Duke. I mean, it's an incredible school. I'm looking forward to doing lots of research there. I'll be a biomedical engineering major with a pre-med track. I'm very excited for it. I feel really like the Academy at Auburn does more than just teach you facts. It's an incredible job. You really learn, you know, how to learn.
Now, Brad Foster is an incredible kid, and he's going to do great things, and we probably would have had a hard time screwing things up. But the fact that he had the ability to be impacted by his teachers through the Academy program, the fact that he had a senior capstone class where he was able to go to the College of Medicine that connected his passion for helping his sister, I think is such a powerful example of why you all matter so much. Because teachers matter, but so do all of you. Because when you give someone exposure to connect their passion in the way Brad was able to connect his passion, great things happen in our community. And one of the reasons I want to make sure we sustain this is building pathways for all of our students. Now, Brad is going to be on the pathway to become a doctor, it looks like, and I think that's going to be a really exciting journey for him. But I think part of our competitive advantage as a community needs to be, how can we create pathways for all of our students to be successful and to be college and career ready? Selfishly, in the Rockford Public Schools, we started with ourselves. We said we want to create a pathway to make sure that we have a supply of amazing, talented RPS students to be our future teachers. Teachers that reflect the talent and the diversity of our community. And the way you do that is not by setting up a recruiting fair when someone's a senior in college. What you have to do is you have to build a 4-part plan. An on-ramp for preschool through freshman year to get more kids excited. You have to build a pathway of 3-year sequence of courses, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. You find a great post-secondary partner, and we found Rockford University for this partnership, and an employer, in that case it was us, to hire the people when they're done. So let me tell you a little bit about how this works. So our on-ramp, we are going to build about 200 students into our on-ramp per grade level that at least have some interest in teaching. And as much as I'd love to think all 200 of them are going to teaching, we know they're not. But what we can do, if we start with 200, is end up with our goal of having about 20 that make it through our 10th, 11th, and 12th grade sequence of courses called a pathway, which will culminate with a dual credit experience in ed psychology at Rockford University. The students that choose to move on, and we're planning on 20 per year attending Rockford University, are going to have an amazing scholarship waiting for them. Rockford University costs just under $30,000 a year, but for our students who qualify for MAP and Pell, and for our non-qualifiers, it's a little bit more, $5,000 a year tuition. It's a $100,000 scholarship. So I applaud Rockford University for their partnership. I think this is a great model for where we can go. After going through and getting that wonderful educational experience, our plan is then to have those students student teach with us. Some of our best and brightest have never left our community. They've been working with our students. And then upon hire, we have committed to a $50,000 master's degree in the spring of their first year of work for us. So altogether, our message to young children all throughout our community is there on the Onramp is, if you want to be a teacher in the Rockford Public Schools and you're willing to be great at it, there's $150,000 of scholarship money waiting to keep you right here making a difference in your community. Now you can see the model is great for public education, and as I said, it was self-serving for us to start with ourselves first, but it was also easier because we just had to find the higher ed partner. Here's the key to this model. We can do it with anything. And I think one of the things this community can do together is let's build a whole bunch of amazing pathways that make sure our students and our best and brightest students want to stay home and contribute to what we're doing and what we're building together here. Think about the engineering partnership that RVC and NIU have built up. They've got the post-secondary and employment part down. They've raised scholarship money. They decreased the cost of an engineering degree down to $30,000. What I think we can contribute to it is the on-ramp and the pathway. Imagine if hundreds of students were gaining interest in engineering from preschool to 9th grade. And we had the right series of courses, which we do with our Project Lead the Way program. And I know some other schools in the region have that as well too. Think about what we can accomplish in terms of a competitive advantage as a community if we build a pathway and a partnership between the employer all the way back to the preschooler. And if we can accomplish that, I find it hard to believe that Rockford won't be on a meteoric rise back to greatness. It doesn't have to be a post-secondary degree. It can also be a quick certificate to a manufacturing job. I hear time and time again when I talk about these elaborate college programs, people say, Ehren, everybody's not going to college. Well, the same concept works for those students too. An on-ramp, a pathway, post-secondary certificate. We've had a ton of success working with Rock Valley on a manufacturing pathway that didn't involve a degree. What I believe when I say college and career ready is that that is the key to success for all of our students. And building that is going to be instrumental to our success. What I want to show now is a video here that really shows how important that access to a pathway and the scholarship opportunity to do that. There's a group called Rockford Promise that is committing to try to provide even more access to students. And I want to show the story of one of our students from Jefferson High School and see how that access has already changed her life, and then I'm going to close. Go
ahead. Both of my parents weren't able to go to school. They both had to work from a very young age. So, getting this, I'll be able to attend a pre-med program at Rockford University, which I wouldn't be able to attend to because of the low income levels of my family. And I wanted to attend Rockford University for the pre-med program in order to pursue a career in pediatric oncology or family practice. My family's aunt had cancer and died at a very young age. So I wanted to help in a way remember her. Even though she's gone for so many years, we still remember her and we miss her. My grandma and my aunt both died because they lacked the medical resources. So either of these careers will satisfy me in order to help people. I want to show my parents that I care about all their sufferings, like all their obstacles they had to get to this country in seeking a new and better life and leaving their family behind to give my sisters and I a better life also.
Do you ever doubt what we all do collectively for students makes a difference. I think that story is pretty powerful. That's generational change because of educational access. It's not only going to make a difference in her life, it's going to make a difference in her entire family's life. And I think that's a really powerful story. So why does it matter to be a first choice district? Because we need more students like Demetrius, and Alondra, and Brad, and all the students that are doing such good things. And I believe that is the key to how we become a top 25 community and sustain that improvement. Transform Rockford's Education Spoke laid out a pretty ambitious vision for what education could look like in this community. They talked about a system that's the pride of our community, nationally recognized, highly valued, with really strong and clear pathways for students. We know we're not there yet, but you know what? We're starting to get some national recognition from Ford Motor Company, the Washington Post, Harvard. Highly valued. Our employees are starting to think a little bit differently about us. Parents and families are starting to think a little bit differently about us. And according to the survey, you're starting to think a little bit differently about us. And I think we're building some pretty accessible pathways too. I think we're making it accessible to become a teacher, accessible to becoming an engineer, accessible to have a great career in manufacturing. And that's just the start. Imagine what our imagination can do with this pathway model. We can do whatever we want by repeating that process and creating those 4 steps for our students. And you know, I think we're doing okay with our students being the pride of our community too. We don't hear enough about students like Brad, Demetrius, and Alondra. But I think they represent the future of where we're going as a community. So when I see this tagline and say, becoming a first choice district in a top 25 community, a lot of people outside of this room might roll their eyes. They might not believe we can get there because of all the things that have happened in the past. But what I see is a very attainable goal. After 5 years of working together with everyone in this room, I am more convinced than ever that we will get there as a first choice district and we will become a top 25 community together. Thank you.